Hi everybody, it's August 14th, 2020. Still sitting here in this SRO. Made that video earlier about um, the three pandemic mobiles on Scammon Street and what that implied as to what happened and what should happen around me and won't, because basically the coronavirus narrative is a economy. Isn't anybody home to say, we really need to work? We can't live on funny money. This is anyway. In the middle of all this stuff, somebody suggested, given how many people have badges and are incompetent. I mean badges of authority. I don't mean just cops. I mean anybody who has a badge of authority. There are all kinds of them. Everybody's an expert, except for the crazy man. That I go back and look at the Bret Kavanaugh hearing. It's also relevant because Kamala, wait a minute, no, Kamala. That's right, because we're going to say the first A as a different vowel than it is, and the second one is a A, not a different vowel, so Kamala would not be a reasonable interpretation. But Kamala would be, even though it's spelled Kamala or Kamala. Oh boy. Anyway, get back to the main point. Credentialed incompetence. Here I found a lot of reasons to talk about how stupid the commies were on the Hill, given the boxwoods that are all around, reeking of ricin that they don't notice, so they can do a hatchet job on a guy who lived as far as anyone could really tell, a decent life. And what they produced, we already know. A couple of witnesses, well, they were fake, but that's okay. Here we have the main star witness, Christine Blasey Ford, who's a psychologist. Okay, so she's got a psychology badge. And she doesn't know, apparently, that a repressed for 30 years memory is unreliable. I mean, what's the standard in law, or even a reasonable presumption? You better be 90% right, or 90% sure of being right, before you say anything. What's reasonable doubt? Beyond a shadow of a doubt. There wasn't any reasonable doubt here. It was a 30-year repressed memory. She had a badge that said she was a psychologist. And since she was sure that the repressed memory was right, she had credentials and was professionally incompetent at evaluating what had happened. And the political environment being what it was, she didn't get anything other than kid gloves, really, because they didn't ask the crazy man to come down and talk about anything important in psychology like credentialed incompetence. So I wrote a piece. And this was the excuse to finally broach the topic. I'd never written about it before. I thought I had. I hadn't. For those of you who don't have the essay, here it is on the screen. You can copy it, read it later, or stop and read as we go along. It doesn't matter. Also, was a chance to address a couple of other idiocies out of the Me Too movement, such as, well, what are the different things and levels and saliences involved in whatever the problems were that they were talking about? For example, when I was in college, my not ex-wife yet, or not even a wife yet, or even a fiance, my girlfriend at the time, and I were both resident advisors. We did a switch for a weekend. I needed to take a shower. It was Saturday afternoon, and they cleared out the ladies' shower and bathroom area for me. I went in. They stole my clothes. Well, what am I going to do? We're going to stay in there all day? And we had all the ridiculous hiding behind the demand for an FBI investigation that wouldn't have turned up anything anyway because the memories were repressed. And what kind of witness? Yes, I heard her talk about it 32 years later when I was 2,000 miles away. I was an eyewitness. Unbelievable. The issue with Blasey Ford was that Nobody really doubted that something happened to her. The question was mistaken identity. Was she really sure it was Kavanaugh? Because that didn't make any sense. And as Susan Collins laid it out, I was shocked that, she had to be the one to actually deliver that. I had a lot of issues with her in Maine, her office. So we were watching his Stalin, his show trial. It was great. I mean, if you're a sociologist who understands uh, what credentialed incompetence is and does and how it's used, and if you know what Mr. Id is, or Miss Id, who sits inside everybody's brain allegedly, and makes the decisions these days because egos are pretty stripped. Keep in mind, when they were grilling Kavanaugh, the Hill was reeking. It was rice and blowing all around the place, and the guards and everybody. And all those caring senators from the Democratic Party said zero. And I had been walking around a year before that trying to protect them from it. Anyway, I wrote a second essay, a follow up after it was over, because Blasey Ford was brought in front of me on the red line in Cambridge one day by a bunch of feds. Think she did anything wrong? Boy, I haven't made the press yet, has it? And this is one of the addenda that I added, which was a work in process. Um, Still is. I never finished it. My unfinished critique of originalism. I'm not sure I was exactly right. Sometimes I'd like to think I had Scalia come back from the dead. He was so pissed off at me. Go do some useful work outside of the Supreme Court. Anyway, Kamala's comments in the hearing. Oh, she was a grilling prosecutor who gave Bret the benefit of the doubt and really understood how to deal with credentialed incompetence perfectly because she believed the one with the badge and a 30-year repressed memory. Science! She's a scientist. I'm not, right? Psychologist versus a psychologist. Who's right? That's easy. The one who's public. And the only one commenting on things. And then we had Corey, the rule breaking booker, who had to break the rules because everybody needed to know. All kinds of turned out to be hearsay and crap. Not legal at all. Anyway, he turned out to be a Spartacist. The 1919 revolutionary movement and uh, then post war attempted communist takeover Germany. Spartacists were communists. Oh, wait a minute. It was Spartacus. That's right. He was just like, what was it, Charlton Heston or something? No, this was about Spartacists. It was a dog whistle, which he doesn't do, only other people do. And the ricins blowing in the air outside, and this is before the 5G showed up. Yes. And he gets to violate the rules of the Senate for a higher purpose of putting hearsay and garbage onto the record. Credentialed incompetence. It's all over the place now. It was a great tool. Happy to have given you basic background as to why I wrote this thing. As to why Christine Blasey Ford was in the red line, going from Cambridge to, or going from Harvard Square to Cambridge Center with me, and not saying anything. Well, you'd have to ask her. Emblazoned in her hippocampus. I remember that. There's pulling a badge and being incompetent. Have a nice day.